Let me tell you something uncomfortable. The reason life keeps slapping you around isn't because you're unlucky, it's because you still believe the world plays fair. The truth is, the people who win aren't always the nicest, the hardest working, or even the most talented. They're the ones who learned the ruthless lessons most people avoid. Today, I'm breaking down of those lessons that'll make you dangerously smart. Not book smart, not school smart. I'm talking the kind of sharpness that keeps you from being manipulated, blindsided, or stuck in mediocrity. But before we dive in, if you enjoy deep, thought-provoking insights on stoicism, self-improvement, and navigating life with wisdom, you'll love my free newsletter. Every Sunday, I drop powerful lessons, controversial truths, and practical strategies to help you level up, all for free. Want to join? Just hit the link below and start getting value-packed content straight to your inbox every week. And hey, if you're a brand looking to sponsor my content and connect with a highly engaged audience, my email's in the description. Let's build something impactful together. 1. Your reputation is more valuable than your skills. Here's a truth most men don't want to hear. Your skills might get you in the room, but your reputation decides whether you stay in the room or whether you even get invited back at all. We live in a world where people will choose the guy they trust over the guy who's technically more talented. Why? Because skills can be learned, but reputation is earned, and once it's stained, good luck scrubbing it clean. Think about it. Let's say you're hiring a mechanic. There's Bob, who's technically the most skilled mechanic in the city, but every review says he overcharges, misses deadlines, and talks to customers like they're idiots. Then there's Mike, who might not be the absolute top-tier genius with engines, but everyone says he's reliable, respectful, and fair. Who do you give your money to? You go with Mike every single time. That's the power of reputation. But here's where it gets ruthless. Your reputation is built on every small thing you do, even when you're not paying attention. The way you talk to the waiter, how you handle losing your temper, whether you keep your word on something as small as being on time. People are watching, man, and people don't forget. I learned this the hard way in my early 20s. I was working at a company where I thought my skill set, my ability to fix problems faster than anyone else, would protect me. I was the guy who knew the system inside out, and I wore it like armor. But here's the kicker. I also had a bit of an attitude. I'd roll my eyes in meetings, cut people off because I thought I was the smartest in the room, and occasionally miss deadlines because, well, I thought my talent bought me some slack. Guess what? It didn't. Management started seeing me as the guy who's good, but difficult. That became my reputation. And in corporate life, nobody wants difficult. Eventually, I was passed up for a promotion in favor of a guy I had trained. Literally, a dude who wasn't even half as skilled as me, but had a reputation for being reliable, approachable, and steady under pressure. That day stung like hell, but it taught me something. Reputation beats skill 9 times out of 10. Now, let's make it controversial. We're told all our lives, work hard, master your craft, and the world will reward you. That's a lie. The world doesn't reward the most skilled. It rewards the most trusted, the most respected, and the most remembered. Plenty of men way smarter than me are broke right now because they never learned how to manage their name. Meanwhile, plenty of guys with average skill sets are thriving because their reputation carries them like wings. So how do you apply this? Guard your word like gold. If you say you'll do something, do it. Nothing destroys a man's reputation faster than being unreliable. Stay calm under fire. People remember how you react when things go wrong. Lose your cool once, and that's the story they'll tell about you forever. Don't gossip. Don't slander. The moment people realize you run your mouth, your credibility's gone. Handle people with respect, even when they're beneath you. The intern today might be your boss tomorrow. Trust me, I've seen it happen. Here's the deeper message. Your reputation is your shadow. It follows you everywhere, even when you're not looking. You can't control everything people say, but you can control your actions, your words, and the standard you hold yourself to. Think of reputation as social credit. You can spend it, you can earn it, but if you burn it all, no amount of skill will save you. I'll tell you this from a male perspective. Men especially live and die by reputation. A man with no skills but a solid reputation can still build opportunities, connections, even respect. A man with world-class skills but a rotten reputation, he ends up bitter, alone, and wondering why nobody gives him a chance. Skills build your career, but your reputation builds your legacy. And if you want to be dangerously smart, stop thinking your talent will carry you. It won't, but a reputation for being reliable, trustworthy, and unshakable. That'll make doors open for you before you even knock. 2. Stop explaining yourself. Wolves don't ask sheep for approval. Let me hit you with something brutal. Every time you over-explain yourself, you look weaker than you actually are. It doesn't matter if your reasoning is solid, if your heart is pure, or if you're just trying to clear things up. The more words you use to justify your choices, the more permission you're secretly asking for. And here's the truth. Wolves don't ask sheep for approval. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone truly powerful rambling on, justifying why they live the way they do? You don't. Leaders speak in decisions, not dissertations. Kings declare, soldiers execute. Wolves act. It's always the sheep, the uncertain, approval-hungry crowd that's busy saying, please don't misunderstand me. Let me explain. Let me prove I'm not a bad guy. The moment you start explaining, you're handing your power away. Let's make this controversial. Society has brainwashed men to over-explain everything. Men today are constantly apologizing for having standards, for making choices, for saying no, or for walking away from things that don't serve them. You turn down a night out to save money. Oh bro, I just really need to cut back. I've got bills. You know how it is. You end a toxic relationship. Listen, it's not that I don't care. It's just that, well, I've been under stress and I need space. No, enough. Say less. State your choice. Move. The more you talk, the weaker your stance. I'll never forget a lesson I learned the hard way in my early 20s. I was dating a girl who hated that I spent time at the gym. She'd guilt-trip me. Why can't you just skip one day? Don't you care about us? And what did I do like a fool? I explained. I told her about discipline, long-term health, the mental clarity it gave me. I gave a TED talk in my living room every time. Did it work? Hell no. The more I explained, the more she pushed, because my justifications told her I was negotiable. Eventually, I learned to just say, I'm going to the gym. I'll see you after. No explanations, no debate, and suddenly argument over. Why is this so powerful? Because explanations invite arguments. When you explain yourself, you give others room to dissect your logic. poke holes in your reasoning, and debate your choices. When you state yourself, you give them nothing to attack. I've decided. Full stop. Try arguing with that. So, how do you apply this in daily life? Start practicing short sentences. Instead of, "Sorry, I can't come. I've been so busy with work, bills, stress, blah blah." Just say, "I won't be there." Period. Don't justify your standards. If you want loyalty in a relationship, don't explain why. Just say, "This is what I expect." Embrace silence. After you state your decision, shut up. Let the silence work for you. Most people will fill it with their own nervous chatter and reveal more than they should, except that not everyone will like it. The point isn't to win approval, it's to live on your terms. Here's the deep message. Men weaken themselves by asking for permission disguised as explanations. When you live like that, you're not really free. You're a prisoner of validation. Real strength is walking your path without needing everyone else to clap for you. Wolves don't explain why they hunt. They don't send a PowerPoint to the forest before killing dinner. They just move. And guess what? The forest respects them for it. From a male perspective, this is everything. A man who constantly explains himself loses authority. A man who states his values, his standards, and his decisions without apology gains respect. Even from those who disagree with him. You don't have to be rude, but you do have to be firm. Because once people sense that you'll bend under the weight of their approval, they'll test you forever. The day I stopped explaining myself, I started commanding respect. Friends stopped pushing me into nights out I didn't want. Family stopped guilting me into choices that weren't mine. Women stopped testing my boundaries in ways they once did. Because my actions spoke. My words were final. No debate, no justification, just, "This is who I am. This is what I'm doing." And here's the kicker. People will talk behind your back, either way. So why waste your breath explaining? Wolves walk their path. Sheep gossip about it. If you want to be dangerously smart, stop bleeding strength through explanations. Say less, do more, move in silence. Because the second you stop asking for approval, you'll realize you never needed it in the first place. 3. If everyone likes you, you're doing something wrong. Let me drop a bomb on you. If everybody likes you, you are not living authentically. You're living like a politician, and politicians are professional liars. You can't be a man of standards, opinions, or convictions without offending somebody. If everyone's smiling at you, clapping for you, and patting you on the back, it means you've diluted yourself down to the most boring, flavorless, vanilla version of who you are. You've become the human equivalent of plain oatmeal, safe, bland, and forgettable. Now, this is where it gets controversial. We're told from childhood to be likable. Teachers told us, "Don't rock the boat." Parents said, "Be nice so people accept you." Society drilled into us the idea that being well-liked is the same as being successful. But let me tell you, some of the most successful men in history, business titans, philosophers, leaders, were hated by half the people around them. Socrates was sentenced to death for being too difficult. Jesus wasn't exactly Mr. Popular when he flipped tables in the temple. Even in modern times, the wealthiest entrepreneurs are labeled arrogant, selfish, or crazy. And yet, they win. Here's why. When you stand for something, you automatically divide people. When you say, "This is my standard, this is my belief, this is my path," you inspire some, and irritate others. That's the natural cost of conviction. If nobody dislikes you, you probably don't actually stand for anything. I learned this in my own life during my late 20s. I used to be the nice guy in every group. I'd laugh at jokes I didn't find funny. I'd go to events I didn't want to attend. I'd soften my opinions so nobody felt uncomfortable. And guess what? Everyone liked me. But here's the truth. They didn't respect me. I was the guy people forgot to invite to the important stuff because I wasn't seen as a leader, just a placeholder. The turning point came when I started speaking my mind, politely but firmly. I stopped saying yes to every hangout. I stopped pretending to enjoy conversations that bored me. And when people said things I disagreed with, I spoke up instead of nodding like a bobblehead. Did some people stop liking me? Absolutely. A few even called me arrogant or changed. But the funny thing is, others started respecting me more. I became someone they looked at differently because I finally had a spine. That's the deep message here. Likability and respect are not the same thing. Chasing universal approval kills respect. And men especially need to understand this. If you're trying to be liked by everybody, you will inevitably betray yourself. You'll bend your standards, silence your opinions, and compromise your integrity just to keep people happy. That's not kindness, that's weakness, dressed up in politeness. So how do you apply this? Say no more often. Don't justify it, just decline. Watch how quickly people reveal whether they liked you or just liked your compliance. Share your real opinion once in a while, not to be edgy, but to be authentic. You'll lose fake friends and gain real ones. Stop fearing labels. People will call you difficult, stubborn, or arrogant. When you stop being a doormat, accept it. It means you're growing. Understand polarity is power. Great men attract loyalty from some and hatred from others. That's the cost of being unapologetically real. From a male perspective, this is vital. A man who chases universal approval will always be soft, always be manipulated, and always be overlooked. A man who accepts that not everyone will like him develops presence, authority, and respect. People may not always agree with him, but they can't ignore him. Here's the reality. Sheep aim to be liked. Wolves aim to be respected. And if you want to be dangerously smart, you need to let go of this childish fantasy of universal approval. Because the truth is, if everyone likes you, you're doing something wrong. You're blending in when you were meant to stand out. And standing out will cost you, but it will also set you free. 4. Emotions are weapons. Control yours, exploit theirs. Here's something most people don't want to admit. Emotions aren't just feelings. They're leverage. They can either be the chains that keep you enslaved, or the sword that makes you unstoppable. The man who can't control his emotions is easy prey. The man who can control them, and even better, use other people's against them, becomes dangerous. Let me make this controversial right away. Society today glorifies emotional outbursts. People call it authenticity when they scream, cry, or rage online. We're living in a culture where losing your cool is applauded, where being unfiltered is confused with being powerful. But let me tell you, no one respects the guy who melts down in public. People might clap, they might say, "You're so brave," but deep down, they see weakness. Because once your emotions own you, everyone else can too. On the flip side, emotions are also tools. If you know how to stay calm when others lose control, you immediately gain the upper hand. And if you know how to read and influence someone else's emotions, you can steer situations without even raising your voice. That's power. I learned this lesson the hard way in my early 20s. I had a boss who loved getting under people's skin. He'd insult your work in front of the team just to see who would snap. And guess who snapped? Me. One day he criticized a project I had spent weeks on, and instead of staying composed, I went off, raised my voice, defended myself, even cursed. I thought I was standing my ground. But what I really did was prove to him that I was easy to provoke. From then on, I became his favorite target. He'd poke at me in meetings, and like clockwork, I'd lose it. My reputation wasn't talented guy anymore. It was emotional hothead. Fast forward a few years, and I learned to flip the script. I started practicing control, slowing my breathing when I felt the fire rising, biting my tongue instead of lashing out, and most importantly, watching other people's emotions like a hawk. Suddenly, I noticed something fascinating. In heated arguments, the person who stayed calm looked stronger, even if they weren't right. And when someone else blew up, they revealed their insecurities, their weak spots, and their triggers. That was free intel. Here's how you apply this ruthlessness. Practice emotional detachment. Not everything deserves a reaction. Most insults die if you don't feed them. Learn to read triggers. People reveal what matters to them by what angers or excites them. Take notes. Use silence as a weapon. When someone expects a reaction and you give none, it unsettles them more than shouting ever could. Stay calm under pressure. Whether it's negotiations, arguments, or relationships, control equals respect. Let's get even more honest. People love to say, "I just wear my heart on my sleeve." Translation: I have no self-control. In the male perspective, this is deadly. A man who can't master his emotions is like a warrior swinging a sword blindfolded. He'll end up hurting himself more than his enemy. Women, bosses, competitors, even friends will test your emotional boundaries. If you can't handle being teased, ignored, or provoked, you'll spend your life being manipulated. Now here's the deep message. Emotions are energy, and energy can be weaponized. If you master your own, you become untouchable. If you can subtly stir others, you can guide conversations, influence decisions, and hold power without brute force. You don't need to shout to dominate a room. You need to remain the calmest man in it. Think of it like this: when two wolves fight, the one who doesn't show pain, fear, or desperation has the advantage. The same applies in life. People will respect the man who holds himself steady when the storm hits. They'll trust him more, follow him more, and even fear crossing him. So, remember this: emotions are weapons. If you're careless with them, you'll bleed. If you master them, you'll cut through life with precision. Control yours, exploit theirs. That's not cold, that's survival. 5. Secrets are leverage. Stop oversharing. Let me be brutally honest. Most people talk too damn much. They treat their life like a podcast. Nobody asked to hear. They spill their traumas on the first date. They unload their financial problems on coworkers. They tell their friends every detail about their goals, fears, and insecurities. And then they wonder why people use that same information against them. Listen, your secrets are not therapy material. They're leverage. And the more you overshare, the more ammunition you hand out for free. Here's the controversial part. Society today encourages oversharing. We live in a culture of vulnerability is power. Social media has turned private lives into open diaries. People film themselves crying, ranting, or confessing things that used to only be told to a priest or a best friend. And while I respect honesty, let's stop pretending that throwing your entire life story on TikTok is brave. It's not. It's reckless. Because once you've told the world your weak spots, don't be surprised when someone eventually presses them. Let me give you a real story. Back in my early 20s, I had a friend I thought I could trust. We were close. We'd hang out after work, grab beers, talk about women, life, ambitions. One night, I opened up about my financial struggles. I told him I was drowning in credit card debt, feeling like a failure and ashamed of where I was. He nodded, comforted me, said all the right things. I thought, damn, this is a brother I can lean on. Fast forward a few weeks, we had a disagreement. Nothing huge, but in the middle of the argument, he threw my debt struggles in my face, mocking me for being broke. Right then, I realized I had armed my own enemy. He didn't find the bullet. I gave it to him. That was the day I learned oversharing is self-sabotage. Now, I'm not saying you should be a cold robot who never opens up. I'm saying you need to treat your secrets like currency, because that's what they are, currency. And smart men don't spend recklessly. Smart men invest wisely. So how do you apply this? Keep 90% of your life private. Share only what strengthens your image, not what weakens it. Test people before you trust them. Give them small, harmless pieces of info first. If they leak it, they don't deserve the deeper stuff. Stop trauma dumping. Your pain isn't public property. Heal it privately or with professionals, not with random friends. Learn to sit with silence. Most people overshare because they're uncomfortable with silence. Get comfortable with it, and you'll instantly look more composed. Here's the deep male perspective. A man's mystery is his power. In a world where everyone is loud, the quiet man becomes intriguing. The less people know, the less they can control you. Women find him more attractive because he's not spilling his whole life in the first conversation. Bosses respect him because he doesn't whine about his struggles. Enemies fear him because they can't predict his next move. Look at it this way. Wolves don't howl about their weaknesses. They stalk in silence. Meanwhile, sheep bleat their every thought to the field and then act shocked when the wolf finds them first. If you want to be dangerously smart, you need to stop feeding people your playbook. Make them guess. Make them wonder. Make them earn access to your inner world. When I stopped oversharing, my life shifted. I noticed people leaned in more when I spoke because I didn't speak as often. My relationships improved because people respected my privacy, and my enemies, they had nothing left to weaponize. I became unpredictable. And unpredictable is powerful. So remember this. Secrets are leverage. If you keep them, you hold the cards. If you give them away freely, don't cry when someone plays them against you. Protect your story, because a man who guards his secrets isn't just private, he's untouchable. So here's the bottom line. Life doesn't reward the most talented, the kindest, or the hardest working. It rewards the men who learn the rules no one talks about, the ruthless lessons, the ones who stop oversharing, stop apologizing, stop begging for approval, and start living with strategy. Some of what I said today probably made you uncomfortable. Good. Discomfort is the price of growth. If you nodded along with every word, then I didn't do my job, because the truth isn't supposed to pat you on the back. It's supposed to wake you the hell up. Now you've got two choices. You can brush this off, keep living soft, and wonder why life keeps kicking you in the teeth. Or you can take these lessons, Apply them ruthlessly and become the kind of man people respect, fear, and remember. The kind of man who doesn't ask sheep for approval. He walks like a wolf. If this hit you hard, subscribe for more. And if you want deeper insights every Sunday, stuff I don't share anywhere else, hit the link in the description and join my free newsletter. It's raw, it's practical, and it will keep sharpening you week after week. Until next time, stay sharp, stay dangerous, and remember, respect isn't given, it's built.